podcasts. F the usual intro. I'm just going to talk about this. I was telling Sean before we even went on, I said, look, I want this show to mimic natural conversation as possible, where, my last episode with William Slace Jr., I hope William's checking in tonight, we had conversations about marketing, we had conversations about social media, we had conversations about video, we had conversations about life, we had conversations about him being a cop, about his mother passing, about my issues, my anxiety, my depression. We talked about everything. I want this show to be that. I want this show to, in my entire life, Nez Nation, this is the longest intro I've ever done. Poor Sean, he's sitting there going, when will this guy shut up? Honestly, on a very serious note, Sean, I'll get to you in a second. Just chill out. I'm totally teasing. On a very serious note, Nez Nation, I have 3 degrees, okay? I've been teaching writing, communications, rhetoric, composition for over 15 years. I can say without one molecule of doubt that the greatest experiences of my life, the greatest learning that I've had, the greatest value that I've had, have always come in settings where there were conversations taking place. Conversations with interesting people talking about interesting shit. That's what I want this show to be about. We're going to come as close as we can. I think the last couple of broadcasts, we've really succeeded in doing that. So my guest tonight, way too long of an intro, I apologize. My guest tonight is Sean Knows, who is somebody who has really made his presence. Sean, how do you say your last name, Sean? I don't want to butcher it. Olivares. I mean, with a name like that, forget about it. This is going to be a fuego show.
Or for the accent impaired, it's Olivares.
No, I like Olivares. Say it again, Sean.
Olivares.
That's some dope shit. I always tell my students, because I teach at Fullerton and I have a lot of students from different backgrounds, I say your name how your father would call you, because that's how I want to be able to pronounce it right. I think you deserve that right. So I really try hard. Olivares, beautiful. So Sean Knows, otherwise known as Sean Olivares, is on the show tonight, who is somebody that he's been on my radar for a while. This is a dude who's doing a lot of cool stuff in a very positive, uplifting, inspiring, enlightening fashion. He's sharing his expertise, his wisdom, his food for thought, his 2 cents, using all sorts of platforms, using all sorts of engagement tools. And I had to bring him on. And, he was available. I said, let's do it. He's excited. I'm excited. Ladies and gentlemen, Nez Nation, please welcome Sean Knows. Sean, tell us a little bit. Hey, how you doing, Sean? Thank you for coming.
Hey, it's awesome to be here. Yeah.
Dude, tell us a little bit about yourself, anything that I might have left out in that intro, and which is probably a lot, because this is actually our first... Just like with William, this is like our first conversation. I mean, we're really just going balls deep on Nez Nation Live. Tell us a little bit about yourself. I'm going to share this broadcast out and tell Nez Nation who you are. Give us a little bit more.
Yeah. This is awesome because we talked about getting together for the last couple of months, and so tonight worked out awesome.
Yeah.
So my name is Sean Daniel Olivares, and I'm in Corpus Christi, Texas. Sean Knows is actually the name of my blog site that I started back in 2010. And I was a young 31 years old when I started that. I just turned 31. And it took me about 30 years to figure out that I actually knew a lot of stuff that I wanted to help people with. And I had all this energy. I had all this excitement. I had all of this knowledge that there's no better way to put it. I just really wanted to share that. I was like, well, what am I going to do? I'll start a blog. And I was really excited about the blog. And the reason that it's called Sean Knows, a lot of people don't know this story. It's not that I know everything. I just talk about what I know, right? So the tagline at the end of every blog has always been, and that's what Sean knows, right? Whatever I talked about, that's what Sean knows.
Not the all-knowing sage.
I'm not the all-knowing sage. No, yeah. I may be, but I love it.
I love it.
But it actually came from when I trying to decide on what I was going to name this blog. I didn't know. I mean, and then there was this voice in the back of my head, and it was my little sister's voice. And as we were growing up, I mean, not only was I a super nerd, I mean, I just studied everything all the time. I was also very inquisitive. So I asked a lot of questions and I got a lot of information. And so when people would ask my sister a question about anything, something on in the family or homework or whatever, she'd always just say, well, ask Sean, Sean knows, ask Sean, Sean knows, ask Sean, Sean knows. And that's how the blog started. Sean knows, right? Oh, after about a year of blogging, I started to get exposure. I obviously had information that people enjoyed and got something out of. And I started getting contacted to like coach, so to speak, right? Like give advice, like personal advice on these topics. And so I was hesitant to step into that realm, even though I knew that was something that I was probably pretty skilled at. But I went ahead and said, you know what, let me try this coaching. Let me see if I got the chops. Let me see if I know what's, so I coached, for a while for free. I just, I would load up my schedule and I'd sit with people and I'd take them through all of these different kinds of emotional processes and meditations and ask questions and really find out what was going on inside of them so that they could turn the key and take over, right? They could really start to take charge of whatever was going on in their life. And then, then it became Sean Knows Coaching and Consulting. And I'd been a business consultant for 15 years, among other things that I'd done. But then the last 6 years have just been a wild ride because being in that position and having the peer group that I have, which is super important. I tell people mostly what Sean knows, what Sean knows is about. It's the people. It's the people that I'm connected to. Right. I may not have the answer, but I know somebody who is going to inspire you, give you what you need, get you the job that you need, find the resource that you need, because that's what makes Sean Knows. Why would a client come work with me? Because of my peer group and my resources.
Right. And interestingly enough, first of all, I want to say welcome Mike to the show. Thank you. Mike is a member of NEZNATION.
Hey, awesome, Mike.
Hey, Mike, if you could do me a favor, leave some comments below. Leave the link to our Facebook group because I want people to join NEZNATION, our Facebook group, which would be really cool. And Mike is a great content creator, very creative dude. And guys, if you have questions, we're going to be talking, we're going to be rapping, and you can hear just from the introduction that Sean's got a lot of value to bring. He's got a lot of stuff to talk about that I think is going to really help a lot of people and maybe give you something to think about, some food for thought. Excuse me. Make sure you leave some comments, and if you have any questions, I'm going to do my best to monitor. And I'm sure Sean will be happy to answer any questions. I know I will as well. Let me ask you something, Sean, because it seems to be this common denominator with the last 3 or 4 guests. And what you're saying is you just sort of happened on this. It wasn't something that was really planned out. You didn't think that you were this wise guru, or you didn't think that you could coach anybody, and you gave it away for free. And now it's turned into something. Doesn't this seem to be the sort of model for a lot of very successful enterprises, businesses, entrepreneurs, or what have you, that you don't, you start building the trust first. You start building the relationships first. You start, just giving, and, just doing the best that you can with you. And then once that gets built up, then the monetization part or the ability to leverage that starts to come to fruition. Let me ask you, were these just these original people that you were giving away for free? Were these just friends or friends of friends?
Well, I stumbled upon a couple of different groups as I was networking, and I made the decision that I was going to be a coach, right? So what did that mean? That meant when I introduced myself, I was now saying, I'm a coach. So did
you have an adjective like life coach, career coach, or just
yeah, I was like life coach. Okay. Yeah, okay. When people ask me what do you do, I usually respond, well, people tend to call me a life coach. Right? Yeah, I've changed titles over the years, but yeah, I was like, I'm a life coach, and that's how it started, right? so I would just start introducing myself as that until I figured out what this business was going to be. And I tell this story often. I did that, and I did that for 6 months. It was roughly 6 months. And then one day I get a phone call from somebody that I do not know. His voice was quivering. He said, I heard that you could really help people. Can I just get 5 minutes of your time? And it sounded a little sketchy. And I said, okay, Sunday night,
sounds kind of sketchy when you describe it.
Yeah, it just didn't, something didn't click for me, because I hadn't been doing this. I didn't know how word of mouth had spread or what this guy was about. There was tension in his voice. And he's like, I just need 5 minutes of your time. I said, okay, guy, 6 p.m. Sunday night, meet me at this place. He comes and wait,
time out. So a phone call you didn't know. I have to cut you off there for a second. You actually decided to meet him, this stranger?
Yeah.
He was at a public
potential, potential client. I said, okay. He said he wanted to talk about coaching. So I said, okay.
Because it seems interesting to me that, like, I don't know about you, Sean, but we're living in a day and age where there's so much more access and there's so much more, I don't want to say surveillance, but our public lives or our private lives, see, I can't even tell the difference between the two. Our private lives are not as private or not even close to as private, especially when we were kids. I mean, my kids right now, forget about it. And those lines get blurred a lot, and there seems to be a lot of people who can take advantage of that. There's a lot of people who you keep hearing kind of permeate the airwaves and permeate media that, there's a lot, the whole catfish thing, and just, it's interesting that you actually were a little bit, because it sounds kind of creepy. It sounds a little bit kind of eerie, but then you still decided to meet him, which I think is so cool and a testament to who you are, because what I like to think and what I like to believe is I still like to believe in people no matter what the media projects and what people project. I still like to believe in humanity, and it's interesting that you did that. What was your decision to meet him in person? Or how did you come to that decision?
He kind of kept talking to me, just said he needed just 5 minutes of my time. And I'm there to help, right? Like, I've been helping people for the last 6 months, and I was like,
so
okay.
you just said, do it. I'll meet you.
Yeah, sure.
Cool. Okay,
so we met.
Sorry to interrupt. Yeah, keep going with the story. I just was intrigued by that.
And this is what the man did. He walks up to me, hands me $1,000 cash, and says, I don't know what this will buy me, but I'd like to work with you. And now, at this stage, I hadn't made a dollar off of coaching at all. Right. So I, with the confidence that I had, I was like, and I was kind of confused, and I was like, wow, this just happened, right? So I took the $1,000 and I said, that just got you 6 sessions, right? Whatever. I didn't have a program at that time.
Yeah,
right? I was just like, okay, let's do this. And so, then I came up with a little program, and I figured out, and then I just kind of rolled with that. And once I opened up the door to accepting money, guess what happened?
What happened?
I started getting a lot more clients willing to pay for these services.
What consisted in those 6 sessions? What exactly, and how long was each session, and what did they consist of?
Well, coaching is an interesting practice.
Because this is something I'm very interested in. I think I think the audience would be very interested in this too, is you hear a lot about monetizing your expertise and monetizing your experience. And you hear a lot about smart passive income and all these things and ways in which you can leverage what you know and how you know it and how you deliver it. I think this audience, including myself, because I do a lot of consulting and I do a lot of speaking engagements, very interested to learn how this process. I'm really happy that you're talking about this, Sean. So if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about what they consisted of, and then maybe talk about your progression of how you organized it in the future, right?
Right. So first, I want to give the audience a little bit more
context
to my background. So it wasn't just one day that I said, "Hey, I'm just going to be a coach," and I had apps. It's like
I'm going to be a coach. Hey, Mom, I got an idea. I'm going to be a coach.
Yeah, because that's it doesn't work out like that.
No, it never does.
Also because you really have to understand that taking a position where you're going to give people advice needs to be a sacred, an honored stance, right? You have to honor the space. And I had already learned through blogging, when I write something, people listen.
Mm-hmm.
They go and buy whatever I'm endorsing. They are paying attention. And you have to really respect the fact that whatever you are going to deliver, people might actually go and do. So you have to,
it's a responsibility too.
Yeah, there's a responsibility when you take a role like that.
Yeah.
But I tell people my background it's a unique background as far as what I've been exposed to, because I was raised differently. I found out I was raised differently than most kids, in the sense that my parents introduced a lot of visualization, meditation, subconscious programming, programming. It's not like they were subconsciously programming us, right? But they provide different audio programs, for self-confidence and self-love, and we'd listen to these things, right?
Very cool.
So,
and let me ask, if you don't mind, Sean, can I just venture a guess that you're probably around the same age as me?
I will be 38 this year.
Oh, you're a baby.
Yeah.
Dude, I want you off my show. You have to be at least 40 to be on the show.
But I'm a grandpa.
That's insanity. Dude, William is 44 and he's got 8 kids. 8
Oh,
kids.
wow. God bless him.
I thought he was, I said not only God bless him, I said make sure that you're prepared for anything that can happen, because God help you. Not just God bless you, God help you. I have 2 kids. They're 5 and 3, and it's an absolute circus here at the NEZNATION household. I can't even imagine 4 or 5, let alone 8. How many kids do you have, Sean?
2, 18 and 19.
And you already have you're already a grandfather.
I'm a grandfather.
But you're a wise old 38. You're more like your soul is probably 78, even though your physical is probably 38.
I think the exposure to, I started reading, Wayne Dyer when I was 11, 12. I started practicing Tony Robbins techniques when I was 10, 11, 12.
And
right?
this relates to your uppering. Talk more. I didn't mean to cut you off. Talk more about that.
Deepak Chopra.
So that's what you were exposed to as a kid?
Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. Wow. My parents had a subscription to Nightingale Conant. So
I had a student recommend Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Oh, yeah, you've got to.
So I haven't read that yet.
Should be the top of your list.
Really?
Once a year. Read that book once a year.
Really? So that's another huge praise for that book. And Sean knows definitely your word counts a lot. So that's interesting.
Yeah, I think I even have an entire blog series just for that book that I did a few years back. So, just kind of like the cliff notes and exercises. But that was my exposure. And then I graduated from the Silva Mind Method, the Silva Method, when I was like 15 years old.
What's that exactly, the Silva Mind Method?
It teaches all
Jason
the different
Silva?
things
Not
about...
Jason Silva.
No, Jose Silva.
Jose Silva, okay.
Had kind of developed a program to become, to access more of your mind, right? Okay. Creativity, healing, and
self-awareness, self-investigation.
Yeah, that's how we were raised, right?
That's like my gig.
And the feedback that I got, when somebody would get hurt or if something was going on, and I'd tell my friends, well, why don't you just go do this exercise, and they'd be like, you're crazy. What are you talking about? And I realized, I probably shouldn't be talking about this stuff outside of home, right? Because nobody knows what I'm talking about. Right. And that's when I was like a young, teenager. But graduated from this stuff, read all these books, and used them. But it wasn't until through the 20s. I used it. I had some success. Every time I was going to get through going through a really rocky time, and I've had some heavy ones. I would go buy another audio program, right? I'd go buy a Tony Robbins, Personal Power 2, or Get the Edge, and I'd go through that whole thing, and I'd get all the new distinctions. I'd learn a lot more about myself. I'd figure out what I was really made of, and I'd take action.
Right.
And so that's the context of, we're talking by the time I actually attended a Tony Robbins event back in 2010, and that was from period of time where I didn't feel like anything had matched up, where I just didn't think life had not gone the way that I wanted it to. And I was really overweight. I was angry all the time. I was drinking alcohol regularly, working at a restaurant. My kids loved me. I was a single dad. They loved me, but I could feel like they didn't like me too much because I was always on edge. I had a health scare.
Kids are smart. Kids feel that.
Yeah.
They're so. My 5-year-old and my 3-year-old. It's so funny. Like they know when dad's not doing good. They're so smart about that. We I mean, at least I do at times underestimate their intuition and their ability to sense. They perceive things that maybe we overlook. It's really intriguing that you say that. Of course they love you, but they also can. They're so transparent. They're so.
When they have their own thoughts and feelings too, and they can tell if they don't like something. If something's not true and authentic, and so that hit me hard. And, I decided to go to an event, and I did. I learned a lot about myself on that event.
How many days was it? Was it one of those 4-day Tony Robbins?
It was a 4-day Unleash the Power Within.
Oh, that's one of his big. That's one of his big workshops. Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet
it was the first time I walked on fire, so I became a fire walker.
Those are the walk on fire ones.
Yeah.
That's like
fire,
heavy duty. That's not messing around.
That's on the first night, man.
Yeah.
That's on the first night.
The first night you got to walk on fire.
So imagine the importance and what the other days will be like. I mean, if you do that on the first night. Imagine the depth of emotions that you're going to get through the rest of the week, right?
I can't even imagine.
And so it sets you up for success the day one, right? But here's was really important as far as coaching goes, because that's what we're talking about here. Like once I became
the progression,
I'm there and I'm listening to Tony, and I've been listening to Tony for 20 years at this point. I'd been through all of these programs and workshops, and not to mention at one point. I had gone through just like network marketing, success tools type of, stuff. I have a degree in risk management as well. So it's not like I had just been like skating by.
No, of course not.
I worked for Merrill Lynch. I, did a lot of other things. But I'm listening to this man, I'm watching this man, and I'm realizing I know this stuff. I mean, I know this stuff, and I've always used it, but I've used it for myself. What would it be like if I actually used this information to help other people? Because I know that they don't know.
Yeah.
There's nobody who knows what I know that I've learned for the last 30 years, the way that I was raised, the things that I was taught, the experiences that I've had, how I've overcome everything. I think I can really help people here just by starting to share the stuff that I know most people don't have exposure to. So giving that entire context of, okay, I didn't start coaching right away. I started a blog, and then I started coaching.
The seed was planted. The seed was planted.
Yeah, it's like,
watering it. You started watering that seed, and it's turned into...
I love talking to people, too. I love listening to people, right? And this is not to mention all the other trainings that I've acquired on body language and micro expressions, right? And being present with somebody, being able to tell if they're being honest with you or with themselves, right? These are human communication skills, right?
Yes.
That get lost somewhere along the way.
Yeah.
I had this skill set, right? I was very good at it.
Yeah.
I never really utilized it. Here was my chance to use it. But not for me, right? Because if I'm sitting in a business meeting or a sales meeting and I'm using all these techniques, who's that really going to benefit sometimes? Me, right?
Absolutely.
Is it really benefiting them? But if I sat on the other side and I'm like, okay, how can I use all of this to help the person in front of me? That was a game changer for me.
Oh, yeah.
So coming from that space and saying, okay, you have to honor that. You have to come from a space of service.
Yeah.
And then I had the encouragement. It was around that time that just through fate, connect with the right people. I had a friend named Tony in the UK, and we met on Facebook, right? And we would chat. And she said, she she tells me one day, Sean, I've got something project I'm working on in the United States. I can't tell you what it is. Do you want in or not? And I said, yes. It ended up being hosting and organizing a TEDx event in Las Vegas.
Oh, cool.
Where we had world-class speakers. I mean, we're talking absolutely amazing speakers. One of
Why
which
wasn't
is
I there? Where the hell was I?
This is 2012. No idea where you were, man. Yeah.
By the way, I just want to say real quickly, thank you, Mike, for sharing. Really appreciate it, and thank you for everybody watching. Please leave comments if you have any questions. This is just like what a great start to the show. And it's so funny. I guarantee you, Sean doesn't even realize we're already a half an hour into the show. Which is insane.
Man, that's awesome.
And it feels like it's the same thing with William last night. I feel like we talked for 20 minutes. We went for an hour and 18 minutes. It's insanity. Sean, I want to just, if I may, just to kind of keep, piggyback on what you said. And I think this is why we've connected, and something that's a common denominator. Oh, cool. Mike says, I'm still here. Think and Grow Rich is a great book. So another praise. So I'm like the only person on the planet. Me and one person in Angola hasn't read this book yet, I guess. So I need to.
You two should get together.
For crying out loud. Let's have a study group. If you're watching from Angola, text me. We'll have a study group. The common denominator that I'm hearing with a lot of the guests who say that they've been able to grow not only as human beings, but they've been able to grow their business, they've been able to grow their ability to provide for themselves and their family. The common denominator is connection. Social media has gotten a lot of flack. It's gotten a lot of naysayers, haters, what have you, critics. And yes, I think there's a lot of cool people in the space who are saying you can focus on the negativity or you can choose to focus on something else. I choose to focus on something else. I've never met Sean before, ever, in person. NEZNATION, check this out. This is a dude who literally his entire purpose, his entire scope of his projection and what he wants to do and what he wants to share is so aligned and parallel with my goals and my purpose that we've connected through this, right? Through these devices, through these platforms. And here he is on my show, and I'm just mesmerized by what he's saying, because if it's not about the people, if it's not about the connections, then you're talking to dead air. It's got to be about the people, and you got to think about that. And I tell my students all the time, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this, Sean. When you're younger, you're a lot more self-centered and self-absorbed, and quite naturally so, because you're almost hardwired that way. It's actually neuroscientifically proven that you're hardwired to think about yourself first when you're in your teenage years, even your late teen years. But I tell my students all the time, something happens, you get older, and it's like what you said. Instead of doing it just for you, and I think Tony Robbins talks about this too, when you service others, the more you give to others, not only does it feel good as shit, but it's also this almost natural recycle kind of recycler where you get energized. You get, the more you give, the more you get back, basically. The more you give, the more you just grow, and the more that you have this renewable source of, life and aliveness and positivity and optimism and giving. It's insane. You just learn that giving to others is where it's at. Giving to others is how you get it all back. And it's true. I mean, as bumper sticker as this sounds, the stuff that you put out there in the universe, it does come back, man. This isn't theory. This isn't fantasy. And I'd love to hear Sean's thoughts on this. I've actually experienced it, NEZNATION. I've actually, so my whole thing on my show, my whole thing in my classroom, my whole thing with my clients and my coaching and all that shit is, this is not intellectual. This stuff cannot be intellectual. It must be experiential, because if it's just you nodding your head and saying, yes, Professor Nez, I understand, it's going to go in one ear and out the other. But if you have that inner conviction, and I'd love to hear Sean's thoughts on this, if you're able to experience it for yourself, any of these pointings, then it becomes real, and it's not something easily forgotten. Sean, what are your thoughts on that? And then tell us, I want to hear more about your client business. Mike says, "Amen. Even the ones you give to directly don't return. Strangers in amazing ways will return when you least expect it." Very nice,
That's
Mike.
true,
Mike's
Mike. Yeah.
Mike's a longtime member of he's one of the beginning group members in NEZNATION. He's been a great support, and he's actually an author of a book, a really, really cool book, and I'm sure he'll leave the title in the comments. Thank you for watching, Mike. But Sean, tell us a little bit about what I just said, and I'd love to hear your feedback. And if you say, Professor Nez, I disagree, I'm so open to that because I want to learn from you too. And then tell us a little bit more about your coaching progression and how you're doing now with that, and maybe a little more details. But let's start with, what are your thoughts on what I just said?
Yeah. So if, Tony says, stay in your head, you're dead. Right?
I love it. All
right. It's got to come from your heart. Now, most of us have not been spent enough time or a lot of time really figuring out what that is, right? How do you silence yourself? How do you really pay attention to this internal knowing? How do you get there? How do you get to those states of flow, or like you said, when you get older, right, you start to understand the reciprocity of the world, hopefully, right? And I was going to point out, like, for your students or for younger people, I mean, even when I had to remind myself of this with my kids, even in neuroscience, right? You're talking about a healthy, developed prefrontal cortex is not fully at that place until about the age of 25, right? So it is not even fully, like, the command center hasn't had the experience to create, to make the judgment calls for good decisions, and that's when I say healthy, keyword, right? That means that it hasn't been broken down or eaten up by alcohol and sugar and all kinds of junk. So really, we're talking about later in their 20s. If you haven't adopted a ton of these bad habits, you're going to have a fully developed prefrontal cortex that is starting to understand concepts outside of themselves and how my decisions impact other people, right? That's the neuroscience. It's like, that's the basic.
Doesn't Tony talk about the 2 million year old brain that we have too?
Oh yeah.
It's all fight or flight.
Yeah.
And plus, instead of, so it's basically designed, it's this and correct me if I'm wrong, because you've probably done more studying up on Tony Robbins' literature. But, from what I understand, what he's saying is that this 2 million year old brain, because I've done a lot of studies in this too, is designed for self-preservation. It's designed for survival. But instead of like Stegosaurus and saber-toothed tigers and having to hunt for food, the modern anxieties that pervade us, like, what other people think of us and how we can succeed, and failure and fear and doubt and, all digital literacy and things of that nature. It's a whole new chasm of that 2 million year old brain has a whole new kind of almost a whole new arena to operate in. It's really interesting.
Yeah, we don't have those same fearful environments in the same way. We have new ones, but it's still doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Right. It's still trying to protect and maintain and preserve and keep everything at bay, which includes vulnerability.
Yes.
Which includes heart openness, which includes, giving when you have nothing to give, right? Like really holding that space. Like these are the things, but these are the things that are the biggest breakthroughs, right? When you have the courage to move past that, or to, if you want to trick your mind into being nicer, then you can, but you have to have the courage to take that step, right?
Right.
With that, let me tie this back into the coaching part.
Please.
When I started that program, I really had to figure out, how was I going to integrate these types of lessons, what we're talking about? How can I help people have this visceral, internal, real experience where they can feel the truth, where they can start to break down a lot of this junk that they've caked up on them about who they are, a false sense of identity, these different addictions, thoughts, patterns, conditions, right? What can I do in this 1 hour right?
Yeah.
That's going to do that and help them break through just to get a taste of it, right? Because once you get there, and it could be scary, but you're going to get a sense that there's something more to me, and I like that, and maybe that's a truth that I haven't seen or experienced in a really long time, probably since I was a child. That kind of joy or excitement or courage, right? Which is why we do fire walks, that type of thing. But what can I do in this one? And there's all kinds of ways to kind of hack the mind and help them. And I just tell them, let's have fun for the next hour. And I'm going to ask some really tough questions. You have to be completely honest, right? This is a safe space. And from there, the work begins.
Right.
The work, right? You get to a place where it's
not a cure-all. It's not 7 steps to,
it's
take
just the
these 3
beginning.
easy steps and you're going to be completely free of the mind. Because I try to do on my Mindset Live show, I try to always give the caveat, look. And I tell my students too, look, you may take me for a semester. You may take me for 8 weeks, 10 weeks, 4 weeks. You're not going to learn everything there is to writing in 16 weeks, 4 weeks, 8 weeks, or communications. This is a lifelong process. You have to put in the work. So I love what you're saying, just giving them a taste, because I don't know.
It's just the beginning. Yeah.
And
it's the beginning of an entire new world where you are going to get faced with your real self, but you're going to be able to face it, look at yourself in the mirror, say, I love you, say the things that you need to say so that you can grow from that. And that's it. Like that's the whole game. If you can get up and do that every day, find these things that are going to challenge you internally, look at yourself, be able to love and accept yourself, stand courageous, in front of any kind of fear daily. That's the game that you play, you get to play every day so that you can live out this gift of life. Right. It's just
great.
A doorway, right? No, it's just
great.
a doorway.
It's just a doorway.
Yeah.
It's not even, it's almost like the front porch. It's like you're putting them you got to walk. I always tell my students and clients, you got to walk through the doorway. I'll show you the door that's helped me out. It may not be the same exact door, but a door that's helped me out immensely. And the front porch is there, but nobody's going to walk through that door for you. And I like what you said. It may be scary because we are attached to our conditions. We're attached to our past, our memories, our thoughts of who we think we are, right? Let me ask you this. First of all, beautiful, beautiful stuff. We're getting hearts. Thank you for the hearts, guys, Nez Nation. This is just awesome stuff, Sean. Break it down for us specifically. So is this more like, for lack of a better term, is this more like kind of like you're sitting in a room and this is just a conversation a la like therapist, psycho kind of analysis client, or do you do slides, or take us through that hour? Is this just a Q&A? Is this just a discussion? And then maybe if you would tell us, a little bit about your transactions and how you've gone to grow that. I'm sure the audience would love to hear that.
Well, I leave the therapy to the therapists and the counseling to the counselors, right?
Yes.
Because I'm not licensed, and I do often come across somebody where I would, after having an initial conversation with them, I'm going to recommend them to a certain therapist or a certain type of therapy that I think would probably be most beneficial.
Great.
Because the mind is a fascinating place, right?
You're preaching.
And what I do is a conversation, right?
Is this in person? Is this virtual, or is it always in person?
It was only in person for the first year.
Okay.
I started taking on Skype calls. Here's what I tell people now. Like, what do I like? At this point, I've been doing this for six years. Lots of clients. I've tried all kinds of different business models to figure out what would serve people best. Was it going to be the, $80 session where we just kind of, let's just kind of do an assessment. Let's figure out what, and it always starts with where you are. Like just to like kind of break it down. Let's find out where you are. Where are you physically, health-wise, emotionally, financially, spiritually? Let's kind of do one of these wheel of life exercises,
okay.
Right? let's take a snapshot of how you feel you are right now, and then start to focus on what you feel is the most important to you.
Oh, cool.
As you start to do kind of like these assessments, which by the time somebody actually gets on the phone with me, they've already answered a good amount of questions, and they've probably done a DISC assessment. They've taken a health assessment online. I've reviewed it. I've given them some feedback. I'll even say, you know what? I'm not necessarily sure we need to get on the phone or we need to meet in person. I'm going to challenge you to go and do this first. If this is not solution for you and you feel like you want to spend time, then we can have that conversation that would lead into what
would that be free, Sean, or would you charge them for that, like pre sort of assessment or what have you, or pre-solution, if you will?
I kind of got it automated. So if somebody's like, hey, and it's free, it's like,
that's so cool.
What am I doing? I'm basically just sending them an email that says, answer these 10 questions, fill out this survey. But it's also my litmus test to find out how committed somebody is.
That's a great idea. I think that's
because on the bell curve of, now this is going to go into my personal
it's also
view
productive
now.
Because you could waste not only their time, but your time, right?
Yeah. And you learn that through business trial and error. I did anyway. Like, how was I going to run an effective business? Because, that how to qualify a client.
Right.
You're going to have to jump through these hoops, so to speak, because I need to know that you're committed.
Yeah.
And if they have enough at that point, if they've done all of this and they've done it like, if I say I need this by Friday and they haven't, then it may not be somebody that I'm going to spend time with on the phone, because they haven't shown me that this is something that's going to be really important to them.
So if I'm understanding you correctly, Sean, you make it very clear up front that this is not some magic wand. You're not going to give them a magic pill and say everything's going to be fantastic, that this is a participatory engagement, meaning you will be somewhat of a guide. I mean, it's late, so I'm kind of lacking some words right now, but in a sense, some type, life coach, guide, and the work, right? The work, whether it's internal or external, is up to them. Am I understanding that?
Yeah. And so that's how I started that process, coming up with ways to take people through this for self-reflection, self-awareness, ask a few questions. Let's take a few steps forward. I think coaching is really best for holding accountability, right?
Right.
Somebody who's going to.
So many people can't hold themselves accountable. So that's perfect.
I think that's
maybe why the genre exists, right?
Not that I've. How do I put this? Over the years, and especially in the last 2 years, I've had a huge shift in perspective of what my role is. And I was like, well, what am I, okay, we're calling this coaching. What am I really doing with people? Like, I started to really pick apart the industry, pick apart what was really taking place. And
good for you.
I came up with a few answers, was like, well, for me, I'm really sitting present with people. Am I really coaching them through stuff? Because sometimes I'll get some really great, it's like I'm the best coach in the world. And, somebody will say, wow, you're so amazing. And I'll be like, I'll think back to myself, like, what did I actually do? I listened to them. I provided maybe an alternate perspective, a neat strategy that they have never used before. Now,
which may seem simple to you, Sean. It may seem so simple to you, correct? But what amazes me, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, what amazes me is, and this is why I call myself not a life coach, not a guru, not a professor. Even though I'm a writing professor, I say I'm a reminder. I try to always say I'm a reminder. What that means is you already have it. You just,
That's it. That's the whole thing, brother.
It's just a reminder.
That is it. I remember I messaged you.
Yeah.
That's the name of what the book.
Right.
Remember. Because everything is there. When I really sit and talk to people and ask them, it's all there. They have a knowing that they have forgotten.
We have amnesia. We forget so easily.
Yes.
This is why if you go to one retreat of Tony Robbins, if you read one of Tony Robbins' book, Well, shouldn't that be enough? Why does he keep writing book after book after book, retreat after retreat after retreat? Because people need reminding.
Because, we're not doing it, like we don't remember.
Many calls
That's
I get?
the whole thing.
Sean, I get email after email from the same people over and over again. I'm not even kidding. And I'm not judging. I mean, because, dude, the shit that I've gone through and the shit that I'm sure that you've gone through, and you kind of mentioned a little bit in your intro, I get it. But like sometimes it's just I think and I go, wow, I think I've probably said the same thing 100 times, and every single time they say yes, fantastic, thank you, and they come back and they say I need help with this, and I go, but didn't we I just talked about that but I don't get frustrated. It's just funny because I've realized the pattern.
Yes,
it's in there. They just need reminding. We forget so easily.
And so here's my coaching for the NEZNATION.
Yes.
And it's funny that you said
great,
that.
Sean. This is awesome.
Because
this
people
was very last second for us. I'm loving Sean right now. Loving it.
People will call me, same thing. I mean, you and I found you on Periscope, I think, initially, right? Like it's where I stumbled on. I was like, I like this wise dude, It's like,
That's the first time anybody's ever called me wise. Thank you.
Totally get what he's talking about, right? So what you just said, I could have said that verbatim. People call me time and time again. I can talk to you about, these are important milestones for me. That right there, what you just said, people call me time and time again. A few years ago, a buddy of mine and I were on the phone, one of my closest friends, Ryan. And my question was, the people who have been through all of done the work, been to the seminars, read the books, they've even executed everything and done extremely well from everything that they've learned in some kind of personal development. But they're not doing it anymore. What happened? And Ryan coined a phrase, and we have, we've done a lot of research on this about the mind of what takes place. This place called fade.
Yeah.
You enter this place of fade, right?
Over quickly.
The amnesia kicks in. You forget all this stuff, right? And that was the whole thing. It's like, why are they calling me though? Why are these people who have been doing this a lot longer than me calling me? And I'm not saying, I'm not just trying to tout how amazing I am.
No.
What we broke it down was, for me, because all I've done is master the basics. It's the fundamentals. I keep it right here. Like, this is it. I keep it very simple, right? So here's my coaching in a nutshell now. When I tell people, and it's funny that you said they keep calling, because I started telling people a year ago, look, they'd say, well, I'm looking for a coach and stuff. And I'm like, okay, here's the deal. I'm probably it's so simple now. Everything is so simple now for me. I see things very clearly. If you want to pay me $500, $1,000 a month for 2 phone calls where I'm going to tell you the exact same thing every time we talk, feel free to go ahead and send that payment right now, because I'm not going to change my tune. Okay, I'm not going to tell you something new because you already know. Right now, here's Sean Knows coaching in a nutshell. This is everything, yo.
Listen up, NEZNATION.
Breathe, right?
Okay.
Breathe. Drink water. Exercise. Okay. Pray. Meditate. Right? Read. Be kind to yourself and others. Right? Are these things is this groundbreaking, earth-shattering new information, right? But as you start to spend time with people, as I spend time with myself, I'm like, am I breathing? Am I drinking enough water? Am I eating right? That's it. Am I eating right? Am I exercising? Am I praying, meditating?
You forgot to put in
sleeping.
Well, that has to do with health.
Basics, right?
Yeah, basics.
It's the basics.
I think I take for granted sleep. I don't sleep
as much as I should. But if you're really doing this every day, you find a level of clarity, energetic abundance, health, right? Generosity.
Beautiful.
Courage, because you're aware, you're present with yourself. So when somebody calls me, or, when somebody calls you and they start on a rant about something, I already know this person probably did not meditate today. How do I know that? Because they wouldn't be, or they don't have a system where they can say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and calm down and get to a place where they can make a clear decision for themselves, right? Do they have a way that they can have the energy that they need immediately, right? Well, do they have the energy at all? Are you eating junk? Are you not drinking any water? Do you not take time to breathe? Are you not alone? Do you not get enough sleep? Are you not exercising? Really, and that sounds so simplistic, right?
Right. It almost sounds like, why the hell am I paying you for this? But it's so funny because you're totally right.
But if you are doing this every day, like you're really doing it.
This is where accountability comes in. This is where accountability comes in. You got to hold them accountable, right? You're an accountability coach almost, in a sense, right? I feel like that half the time. So,
this has been an amazing journey for me because I've learned a lot about other people. I've learned a lot about myself. My friends, my dearest friends, we do say that the healing is in the dialogue, right?
Oh,
the healing is in the dialogue.
Oh, yeah.
Because you just have a conversation with somebody, you're like, wow, I feel absolutely amazing now.
Nez Nation, does any of this sound familiar? How many times have I said, it always feels good to talk about shit? It always feels good to talk to somebody. It always feels good to get it off your chest. God, Sean, I'm so happy that you're on the show. Yes, the dialogue. The healing is in the dialogue. What a beautiful way of putting it.
So check this out, Professor.
Why do you say it like that?
So here's what I've been holding back on as far as what I've been researching for the last year. Okay, it's how I stumbled upon you. It's part of these questions about
I thought
coaching.
You tripped and fell over me. You didn't stumble upon me.
Man, you didn't move. I tripped.
Talk to me.
Because I was analyzing the coaching and my coaching and what was really taking place. We pay attention to the social media. I love technology, right?
Love it.
So I'm watching everything that's going on, and I too get, I get just as fed up with the negative news feeds as anybody else, right? Also, because of, the way that I've taught myself, it's like, I don't remember which book it is. I know it's in Think and Grow Rich, but there's other books about personal development, in personal development that'll say, if you want to clear your head, stop reading the newspaper, stop watching the media, right? You've got to have clarity of mind. So now with news feeds, right? You're not just watching the 10 o'clock news. You're seeing that 10 o'clock news all day long.
24/7.
Right? From somebody somewhere, right?
From everybody.
It's a constant.
You're getting everybody's CNN, everybody's reality.
It's a constant update, right?
Yeah.
So as I'm starting to pay attention, okay, what's missing here? Here was another thing. And I've been in this situation too as a coach with my business. And I know that and I know that probably people in NEZNATION who really, this is what starts to hit home. This is where the big ideas started coming in the last year. How come people who are extremely skilled, very talented, they're amazing healers, coaches, technicians, trainers, whatever you want to call them, how come they haven't monetized? What is the problem here with why they haven't been able to launch their business, right? They're very good at what they do. They're my trusted friends and colleagues, but they're struggling in getting their message out there. Now, and I'm not talking about like going and finding the right funnel, and I'm not, that I've done all of that too, right? And I'm not knocking any of it. It all has its place.
Of course.
But I'm like, okay, there's something. And I kind of sat on that I was asking that question for a long time. And then I made a critical business mistake. This is a joke, but we bought an Xbox One and I started playing video games. And this is where I kind of lose people. I want them to pay attention. I want you to invest in what I'm saying right here. it was the doorway for me into understanding behavior in a different way in a social landscape. Because we're just playing
Xbox
games.
One was.
The Xbox One.
Okay, go ahead.
Right?
I'm with you.
Okay, I haven't had a console we haven't had a console in about a decade.
Okay.
So I got this Xbox One. I got very good at playing Star Wars, Battlefront.
Okay.
I'm a huge Star Wars buff. Okay.
All right.
I started connecting with other gamers. Other gamers started asking me for clips.
Yeah.
They'd start YouTubing stuff. Now, this is not foreign to me, but I hadn't been immersed in it. Then I started watching Twitch. Then I started, and Twitch made no sense to me. I'm like, why am I going to watch somebody else live stream a video game for 7 hours? It just didn't make any sense to me. And I mean, I was really scratching my head as I'm invested in this live broadcasting platform of video games. But here's where I started seeing something very different that we still don't see on Facebook, on Periscope, almost Periscope. The behavior was extremely different, specifically in the level of engagement and the speed to build a community.
You mean that it was different on Twitch or it was different on Periscope?
It's different on Twitch.
Okay, so Twitch is where the community was building nicely.
It's building in ways that we aren't paying attention to because guess what? That's a subculture that is like, oh, they're just gamers.
Oh my God!
Right?
You haven't. Wait! Time out. So my brother is 33. Okay, I'm 40. My brother is 30. I just turned 40 in December. He is a major gamer. Okay.
Okay.
And just a little caveat, because your story sounds so amazing. I think it's going to relate to this. He ran a what's it called? What are those places called where all the geeks and nerds go and there's computers and it's not an internet cafe, but they all like a game.
Like a game hub. Yeah.
Game hub. So I used to go there when I was really experiencing my anxiety and depression, just because I was looking for any kind of escape. I mean, which is why I've written the books I do and do the shows I do. Mm-hmm. And I noticed exactly, oh my God, what you're talking about, Sean, is so tantamount to the vision that I had. I'll never forget, I went outside to just get a breath of fresh air, and I was talking to another friend, and I said, God, my brother, I used to have this idea of my brother being this nerd, this geek, and he just... which is sort of like almost like it was almost like a derogatory term, right? And now almost geek has become chic, but back then, this was like 10, 15 years ago. And I looked and I said to myself, but look how kind they are to each other. Like, look how they talk to one another. Look how excited they are about being around each other. Look how much joy they get. They don't get this anywhere. And what you're saying right there was the way that they built their community, the way that they built their connections, and the way they nurtured those connections was beautiful. I was like sold. Mm-hmm. I was like, you guys rock. You guys may not have tattoos and the hot girlfriends and all the, and which is a whole nother episode, that whole vibe anyway. But I was blown away, Sean. I was blown away by how much they connected to one another. And they were not friends. They weren't friends, Sean. They were like brothers. They were like a band of brothers.
It's a real community.
Yeah, continue. I just had to say that.
And we don't pay attention to it because it's a subculture, right? Yeah. Gamers, they're just playing games all day.
I used to think the same thing before I finally...
Me too, right? And so I'm in this communities, but so on top of the community, it's an amazing thing, I started looking at the data. I started looking at the numbers, and it was staggering. I mean, mind-blowingly staggering. Now, we're talking 9 months ago. So think about where Facebook Live was 9 months ago.
Nowhere.
Think about where Periscope and Twitter was
just starting
9 months ago.
Right.
And I'm watching It's Okay. And I remember a couple of examples that I was using over the last few months. A very extremely well-known gamer who's got, 1 million followers plus, goes live. How many people are watching him on average for those 8 hours? Roughly 10 to 20,000 people.
Jeez.
10 to 20,000 people. I go, and at the same time, Elon Musk had just gone Facebook Live, right, to announce some Mars stuff. We're talking like Mars, right? We're talking outer space, big stuff. And then,
100 viewers maybe. If that.
It took forever to get these thousands of people to start watching, right?
Right. But it started.
But this guy, this gamer goes live every day and has 10,000 people watching him every day, right? So this is like, okay, what's going on here? So that's one whole aspect of it, because I'm looking at the social structure of what's taking place. The other really exciting part of it to me was, and this is the part that some of the other social media guys kind of, I don't know if they ignore or I don't know. All I know is I've been immersed in, once I got into Twitch and I started paying attention to live broadcasting, I've downloaded every broadcasting app that I could find on my phone.
I've noticed that you're live a lot, Sean.
There's live.me. There's, now there's the conversations that we're having now about Facebook Live, we couldn't have 4 months ago. We couldn't have 8 months ago, right? So the landscape's changed, but I've had Hang With, live.me. I've been on YouNow. I've done YouTube Live. I've been on Twitch, and I've used all these different handles, right? Like I was kind of like, I was investigating. I was undercover.
You're also doing like an experiment. Like you're experimenting.
It was a major experiment, and I didn't know how people were gonna, my clients or people who follow me were gonna think, oh, this guy's just kind of like playing video games and doing stuff all day long over here. It's like he's supposed to be like my guy.
You need a little subterfuge.
I was extremely covert, so I built up communities, and I built all these little pockets of people who were following me and engaging with me. Sometimes I wore a mask, right? When I started on Twitch, I would wear a Star Wars mask. Nobody knew who I was. I don't use my name. And as I was doing this, because I wanted to, when we're talking about social media, I was like, okay, I started to find the people, what's working? Who is really connecting with people? Who's doing a great job here? And I would ask these three questions. And I started asking myself, is it the content? Is it the platform? Or is it the personality? All right, because it's a huge landscape for live right now. So I'm like, can this personality go and do this on any platform? If they're really good, if they've worked on their craft, right, a little bit, if they really know what they're doing. But when sometimes, or is it the content? Well, I kind of rule out content because there's people with absolutely amazing content that can't get any viewers, right?
Right.
Then I'm also looking at the aspect of entertainment, right? What's going to be the key? You have to be entertaining and inspiring in order to keep people paying attention, right? So you can be delivering earth-shattering stuff. I mean, like mind-blowing stuff. If you're boring, nobody's going to watch, right? Exactly. So I'm testing all of this stuff on all these different platforms. But what was the big kicker, was when I finally decided to go live on Twitch, and I put on a mask. And here's the key for Nez Nation paying attention to, like, how do you monetize? What do you need to do in order to get your message out there and get paid to do it? Here's how simple it is. And I'm not talking about marketing funnels, and I'm not talking about websites, and I'm not talking about all this other stuff, which I could and is valuable and it has its place, but that's not what I'm talking about anymore. I went live on Twitch. Nobody knows who I am. I'm wearing a mask. I'm not a coach, a consultant, blah, 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 all this stuff. And some guys come into my stream and they're like, hey, do you like this game? I'm like, yeah, it's a great game. Like, would you get it? You think I should get it? And I'm like, well, yeah, if you're a Star Wars fan, you have to. I don't care if it's a terrible game. If you're a Star Wars fan, you get this game. It's a great game.
Were you wearing a Star Wars mask?
I was wearing a Kylo Ren mask, yeah.
Oh, Kylo
I have it
Ren,
right there.
I don't know if I didn't remember if you mentioned that. Really quickly, William Slace just joined. Thank you, William. Thank you for
Hey, what's up, William?
William was on the show last night, and I don't know if you've seen the engagement that we got for that, William, but it was off the hook. Thank you for joining, and thank you for sharing. Okay, so they asked if you liked the game. You said Star Wars. If you're a Star Wars
fan, So I was like, okay. I was like, all right. Yeah, I was like, it's like, you got to get this game. And the kid says, and I'm assuming it's a kid, right? I don't know. We're chatting there.
Not a 40-year-old?
No, yeah. And he says,
hey, William.
He says, yeah, I'm thinking about buying this game tomorrow. Now, I've been paying attention to other streamers. And I was like, well, cool, man. And it's just being yourself, right? And I was like, hey, well, when you go get this game, I was like, if you're on Xbox, send me a friend invite tomorrow when you get the game and we'll play together. Casual statement, right?
Right.
Casual, friendly statement. We're gamers. Go ahead and do it. I end that stream. I leave for a while. I come back 2 hours later. I have 3 friend requests on Xbox. They were all in my chat. They all went and downloaded the game. Now, here's my business mind.
Of course.
Like, I just made 3 sales. If I'd had an affiliate link to Amazon or something, I would have made a few pennies off of it, but I virtually made a sale from doing what? Nothing.
Lean kind, just talking.
Not only that, I moved them from going to buy the game tomorrow to within the hour.
Wow. Because
they wanted to what? Connect and play a game with somebody that they connected with online.
Right.
That was day 1. Day 2, I put up side story, I put up a donation link, right? A PayPal donation link.
To your Twitch account? To
the Twitch. I'm like, hey, you can send donations anytime you want.
So just so we understand, there's a lot of people who might not know what you're talking about. So when you put up a donation site with a PayPal, that implies that the audience can?
They can donate. It's not necessary, but they can donate if they
just for being a part of the stream, like almost like like busking, like tipping the performer.
If you enjoy what you're watching, if you want, donations are always welcome. It's always going to be here to support the stream, the channel, your community.
We haven't talked about you. I mean, boy, we're already at the hour mark. I mean, this is unbelievable. Same thing with William last night. I mean, these things are going so fast. But super chats and monetizing Facebook, I think, is something that's been in the works. But go ahead, Sean, because we can go all over the place.
Dude.
So what happened with the donations?
Facebook, YouTube, Periscope are so far behind as far as this behavior.
Big time.
You have no idea.
So here's the punchline. Your punchline is that Twitch in the gaming world has created something not only connective but monetary and viable, right?
Well, yeah, because here's what's important.
Were people
the behavior is the behavior is completely different from what we're used to.
Okay.
From what maybe a few people in this nation, but here's the distinction that I learned.
What you're talking about? Yeah, go ahead.
Here's the distinction that I very much learned. I put up the donation link. I'm chatting in another guy's stream, and they were talking about. They were like, "Hey, I wish I could do this on my phone for the stream or blah blah blah," and I was like, "Oh, I know how to do that. I'm a tech guy, right?" I was like, "I know how to do that." The streamer leans into the camera and says, "Hey, you have your donation link up, right?" And I'm thinking in my head, where I'm like, what for?
What donation link? Yeah. I'm
like, what for? By the end of that,
just to watch me play a video game?
It wasn't even my stream though. This is other guys, right?
Stream. That's crazy.
And by the end of his stream, I had $60 in my PayPal account.
Wait, what were you doing?
Here's the thing. They don't know me. All I said was that I knew how to do something and I would tell them how. They openly and willingly gave money before me even having to market who I was, what I knew, how they didn't vet me at all.
That. You made $60. So
I'm like, okay, if I go on Facebook Live and I start telling people, hey, I'm Sean, and this is what I do, and this is what I've been doing for a while, and blah, 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 right? I'm going to have to market the shit out of that and do a funnel and get you to opt in and go through all of this stuff. And you're going to have to buy into whatever I'm doing. Over here, the behavior is different. They're willing to participate. They want to be a part of this, even if it's microtransactions, right? $1, $2. The difference, so I'm looking at it from like in the coaching and, training industry and real life stuff. And this is where my research really started getting heavy, because I started paying attention to, okay, people who are actively pursuing personal development, ways to change their life. That's a small, like everybody wants a better life, but the key word, actively pursuing it, right? And taking action. Yeah. That's a very small group of people. What about everybody else? What about everybody that doesn't have $300 a month?
Right.
For this life? What are people who don't have $1,000 a month? It's like, well, nobody eats McDonald's, right? $1 billion company. Of course, somebody's eating McDonald's because of the value menu, right? So I just started tinkering and playing, and I started just really realizing, I mean, my first Facebook Live, I didn't know what I was going to do. It was a Friday night. It was a Friday night, and I was like, hey, guys, I'm going to trim my beard. And I just sat.
I think I saw that. That was your
first one? And I trimmed. That was my first one because I wanted to see how people I were connected to, how they were behaving. Because I already knew how everybody was behaving on all the other platforms. And I'm over here, I get on Facebook, and I'm like, wah, wah. I'm like, nobody's getting it.
Nobody's getting it. And also, this is so brand new. I mean, I still have students, Sean, and I want to get to Mike has a really interesting question. I have so many students, Sean, and these are students who are between the ages of 18 and 24, 18 and 25. And we talked a little bit about you. You were talking about your daughter and their friends. They don't even know what Facebook Live is.
Mm-hmm.
They don't even know what Facebook Live is. They're like, Facebook Live, what's that? Mike asked, can you use Twitch if you are not a gamer? I do comedy. What if I did a live stream comedy show?
Yes.
How would that translate on Twitch?
Yeah, because guess what Twitch did?
I've actually never used Twitch either. So now
and keep in mind, who owns Twitch?
Was it
Amazon?
Oh, Amazon.
Amazon owns Twitch.
I'm sorry, I was thinking of Whale. Wait,
yeah.
Who doesn't? What's his name? Joseph Kahn? Did he invent Twitch or something?
I don't know.
Was that the guy who invented Whale, or I can't remember? Okay,
I don't know that name at all.
Okay.
Yeah, Mike,
Justin
you can. As a matter of fact, they have an in real life category, so you don't have to be playing a game. You can just use OBS or whatever, and you could do what we're doing right now
on Twitch.
On Twitch, they've opened that up. Not to mention all of the technology support, like as far as bots. Like you can have like if we were on Twitch right now, if we were in my channel, I would regularly have in the chat flowing up saying, hey, if you really like me, follow this button. Hey, feel free to leave. You can automate all of this stuff, right? Like
maybe I'll
all
have
of
to try and do
automated.
NEZNATION live on Twitch. Maybe I'll have to try that out.
It's
this you have your PayPal link up, and then people can just whatever if they get value out of it.
Yeah, and they really are very advanced. And I know, like I've mentioned it to a couple of the other the big live streamers, and they're like, oh yeah, but that's that. And I'm like, no, you're not seeing what they're actually doing over there. Because
Sean, I love.
Because think about this.
Yeah.
Here's what I really want. Here's where I'm shifting. Like I've actually changed, like on some of my social media, like I don't use the word coach anymore. Like I'm moving to inspirational entertainer, right? I just want to be building.
I like that. Inspirational entertainment.
Curating different content to get people to think differently, and I want to spend time with them and be present. Because what we talked about social media.
I don't like the word life coach either. It sounds too guru. It's too I'm with you on that. Or even career coach, or it just it's a little almost narcissistic in a sense, I guess. But even though it's not, it's really helpful, but it just kind of rubs me the wrong way.
I think the benefit of the elections recently, helped me really take a look at behavior that was going on.
The presidential election?
Yeah, the presidential election.
Okay.
I'm not, we're not getting into that. Just the way that you realize how loud it is on social.
We're talking about behavior.
Yeah.
Social media behavior, especially political. Yeah, it's
imposing
insane.
Their thoughts and beliefs. There's not a lot of discourse.
It's just
but
yelling.
Live starts to bring people back together.
Yeah.
Brings a connection. It brings presence, right? Especially in my field, right?
Right.
I can spend time with an audience, which what they really want the most of. They want this connection, right? So I think the merging, and I've only studied behavior, like how people respond to different things as far as like coaching and training and healing. And I'm not saying that the other platforms and the other methods don't work. What I'm saying is with this new shift that we've been watching, that we joke about when we message each other, like, wow, did you just see what this is about to happen? It's really creating an entire, I wouldn't say it's bringing things back to where people can have a conversation.
Right.
That's what's missing on social. Why are people who have really great skills and skill sets not being able to monetize? Well, they can now.
Yeah.
Because I really want to encourage people like you do. You're like, hey, why are you waiting so long to get online, right? Or to go live? Because I had my whole shit planned out for I was so excited coming at the end of 2016. I had 52 weeks of content prepared. right?
Whoa.
I was like a madman. I was like, you know what? I'm going live like a mofo for all of 2017. And this is it, because this is how I'm going to make an impact. Right. And then technology and life and changes and everything. And I was like, I don't know. I'm not online for a lick. But here's what I would tell people. Does all the marketing and all that stuff important? Yes. But the landscape is changing now. If you're very good at what you do, you know how to connect, keep an audience. You go YouTube live with your super chat. If you're very good, because and I said YouTube, even though people aren't acclimated to that behavior yet. But if you're very good at what you do, 6 to 12 months of commitment, consistency, and craft, you will be able to leave your stream with money in hand.
Oh,
no marketing
I've
funnel.
already seen, dude, Sean. Yeah, and I think I love what you said. Is the behavior and the concept hasn't been completely embraced by the big dogs like the YouTube and the Facebook and the Twitter, but the super chat concept, I mean, is just, I've seen it. I mean, now right now, I think, just to be clear, if you don't know, just so NEZNATION, just for those of you that don't know, super chat on YouTube Live just rolled out mobile live streaming. You can go live on Facebook on your phone, but you couldn't go live on your YouTube app on your phone for the longest time, and you still can't unless you have 10,000 subscribers. But that's soon going to be rolled out to everybody, no matter how big your channel is. I think they're saying in the summer or in the next couple of months. And I think it's 1,000 right now. Is it 1,000 right now? Okay, so what super chat is, what Sean's talking about is same thing what he was talking about, similar to what he was talking about with Twitch, is if you could go live and if you actually produce dope shit and you bring value and you actually help people or you inspire people or you entertain people, you keep their attention basically, they can offer you, in essence, it's like tips. And a super chat, like I saw somebody get, I couldn't believe this, Tim Schmoyer, who's a YouTube creator, and he has like 200,000 followers. He did a live of just him editing a video. So he did a screencast of him editing a video, something he would have done anyway, something he didn't have to go live and show, and somebody gave him $50 in one super chat. So what that means is one viewer donated $50, and it highlights their chat, and it almost pins it automatically in the stream. $50, and the comment was, Tim, you're helping me so much. You're helping me grow my channel. I feel obligated to give you this. And what was he doing? He was editing a video that he was going to do anyway, whether he went live or not. And he got 50. And that was just one super chat. I mean, he got, I think, total, it was almost like $500 for doing something he would. So this changes everything. Not to create money. It does change everything. Not to create money frenzy, because I don't want to go that route. But it really actually puts a spotlight on, and please, I'd love Sean's comments on this. It puts a spotlight on it's equalized. It's open game, y'all. It's open game. If you're creative, if you're entertaining, Mike, if you're funny, if your comedy is worth it, you can actually be your own boss. I mean, literally, not fantasy. You can literally. It's about freedom. It's about
that, and even simpler than that, Peter, because it's simpler than that because you just have to be there every day. You know, the people who are making it, they've committed to their community, to their audience. They're going to be here every single day. And I'm not, I got on there. I was like, why would I donate to these guys, right? Just because I want to see my name on the screen, or what are they really doing? But here's when my first donation went out. I was in a stream with the guys that we were gaming one night. And it's like, I don't know, like it feels like a frat house, right? So like there's all kinds of banter going on. Nobody's getting their feelings hurt. It's a lot of your mama jokes, whatever, you know?
Dudes being dudes.
Yeah, dudes being dudes.
Right.
And
locker room talk? No, I'm kidding.
Locker room talk.
I don't want to go there.
what the joke came up was, now I'm the old guy in this channel, right?
Isn't it crazy when you realize you're the old guy now?
I'm the old guy,
dude,
right?
That's a
Even
funky
though
realization.
The streamer that I was in his channel with, He's the same age as me, but we're the old guys, right?
Oh,
I'm the grandpa, officially, right?
that's crazy.
But anyway, there's a kid that came in. We didn't know who he was. He wanted to play games. And normally we'll say, well, who are you? You know, do you have a Twitter or somewhere we can go like validate who you are? Well, I chatted and I said, do you have a MySpace account? Now, MySpace, yeah. I was just joking, right? As a joke. Right. And everybody lost it, right? Because they're like, oh my God, the old dude is talking about MySpace. Like, get out of here, man.
The dinosaur.
Like, and the jokes just started rolling.
Right.
Like for the next 2 hours. I was laughing so hard. Just the stuff that everybody was saying. I was crying. My stomach hurt. My face hurt. I had such a great time that I sent the guy $5, the streamer of that night, right?
Wow.
Why? Why did I? Because I had a good time. And that was his space that he provided a space and created an environment where we could laugh and have a good time. I hadn't laughed that hard in months, maybe, not that hard. Right. And I'm telling you that story because just by you holding the space, you may not even have to be good, because I've seen people on live.me and you now, right?
You just have to really be consistent and show up.
You're just there.
Interesting.
You're there. And now for the gaming, that's...
People might even tip you for being bad. Right?
Yeah.
They might be like, this guy's...
You never know how you're going to connect.
Like, Mike, you're a horrible comedian. Here's $20.
Just for being you.
Just for being you. Interesting. Okay, so I love that revision. I love that revision. That even blows open... that even blows open the barn door even wider. You know,
all you have to do is what? Get used to pushing that little button, that red button,
that live button
on whatever you're going to go and do it. Do it to where people realize, oh man, he's here again. And you know what? I'm going to go spend time. It starts off as, and how do I know? Because I wouldn't say I'm hesitant, but I'm cautious on where I'm going to spend my time, right?
Of course.
So I go and I'll spend time somewhere and I'm like, okay, 2 or 3 minutes. Okay, 10 minutes. Okay, 30 minutes. Okay, an hour. Okay, this guy's talking for like 4 hours here, or he's making tortillas, whatever, right? But he's hanging out and I'm hanging out. Now, I may be doing other things, but I've got it playing in the background. And then guess what? We log off the next day. I see a notification. I'm going to go say hi, right? How many times has this happened to us?
Oh, a million
right?
times. Yeah.
So it's the ones who are consistent, and here's it just, and I know this
Einstein said, you guys think I'm a genius. He was in a press conference, Albert Einstein, the greatest scientist maybe that ever lived, certainly in the 20th century. He said, you guys think I'm a genius. You guys think I'm super talented. But my persistence, I'm not really that super talented, but I'm as persistent as a mule. That's what he said. Let me just start over. He said, you guys think I'm super talented. You guys think I'm a genius, but it's not that. It's that I'm as persistent as a mule. So what Sean's talking about, Nez Nation, do it. Don't overthink it. So the banner on my YouTube channel, Stop Thinking, Start Living. Do it. Don't analysis paralysis. Sean has studied the mind. I have done a lot. I've been studying the mind for 20 years. This is the only dude that gets in your way. It's not your mama. It's not your papa. It's not Trump. It's not your teachers. It's this dude. Right, Sean? I love the way you said that. Mike asks on Twitch, how do you know how many people are in the room watching you? I'm sure it's the same, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a great question. Yeah. You get not only...
You can see that, right? Your viewers?
You can not only see the viewers, you can see where they're handled, because you have to... you pretty much have to log in order to be in a channel. So not only do you see how many people, you know exactly who they are. Here's even better.
I'm very curious about Twitch. I want to check it out.
Here's even better, Peter.
Yeah.
And here's what I mean by the technology support. There are other ancillary services, free services that you link to your account that will give you all of your data, right? All of your stats, You'll know how long each person was in there.
Wow.
You can gamify
Analytics. There's
everything.
Like analytics. Okay.
Not only analytics, like promotional stuff, right?
Wow.
Like you can set up giveaways, and like you can set up rewards for every minute that you're here, you gain 5 points. And at the end of 5,000 points, I will play a game with you.
And see, right? I didn't know that Twitch was owned by Amazon. That almost gives it even more sort of prominence.
It's spooky
and distinction. Yeah, that's really.
When you sign up for Amazon Prime, you are automatically a Twitch Prime member, which means you don't have to watch.
Okay.
It's all linked.
Interesting.
Yeah, you get a little crown.
I think my wife has.
Yeah, so when you log in, that means you don't have to see commercials, right? Because if you're not a Prime member, you have to watch a commercial before every stream. But if you're a Prime member, you just log right into whatever it is, right?
Is it predominantly, though, Sean? Would you say it's predominantly gamers? Because that's what I've kind of got the perception.
Yeah, but there's a creative channel. Okay. So there's a lot of musicians on there.
Yeah.
It's growing because they just opened up the creative channel, I think, 2 years ago.
Okay.
And just recently, I saw that they're really pushing. They just really started pushing the IRL channel, the in real life channel, which you're not going to be gaming, or you're not going to be really a musician. You're going to be talking, right? You're going to be live streaming, just like you do, right?
Like, do you think this show would have a place on Twitch?
That's something that you'd really have to.
People about interesting things, everything from the silly to the controversial. I mean, would a show of this style with an old dude, a 40-year-old?
I want to do it because what I would really want to help a lot of those people with is the stuff that I already know, which is how to create merchandise and monetize your message. A lot of these young kids, they want to make the money, they want to do this, but they don't have the business side of it. Right. So if I'm like, hey, you've got, I started approaching some of them. I'm like, this is who I really am. This is what I'd really like to see happen with your channel, and because I've built up the rapport with them, I became mods in their channel, moderators, right? I became admins for them.
Wow.
Which is a big deal in that community sometimes.
Is there groups?
Right?
Like, is there Facebook groups, like Twitch groups? Or Twitch community, mini sub communities or something?
There might be, but Facebook has blocked.
You should get an affiliate link for Twitch for this stream.
Twitch, yeah.
You're advocating and advertising Twitch really well.
I'm talking about them because they were the forerunners that people don't pay attention to.
I think you're also talking about them because it's almost like they got it figured out. Not figured out, but they've started the ball rolling in such an effective way that maybe, if I'm hearing you correctly, Twitter, Facebook, well, certainly maybe YouTube is a little different now, haven't really figured out, perhaps.
No, Busker does.
Busker's cool. Right? I haven't used Busker in a while. I used it last summer, but I haven't used it in a while. Have you monetized a lot on Busker?
I've only gone. I just downloaded it maybe 2 months ago, so I hadn't even.
Very new. Okay.
Yeah, I hadn't even really played on that. I'd say that if you know what audience you're going to be speaking to, then yeah, you can find that. I think you could be on every platform, because I think that the content can be cross-platform as long as you're paying attention to who you're talking to.
Yeah. Okay. So what do you think about that, Sean? Because we all know. Well, we don't all know, but I know Sean does because Sean knows.
Sean knows.
Facebook Messenger now just released stories, which is, again, what Instagram did last summer, which was a basic, God, I don't know how else you can call it other than a copy of Snapchat or a direct sort of emulation of Snapchat. And I couldn't believe it, Sean. I had more engagement. I think you saw my story.
I was going to say the same thing.
I got more engagement on my Facebook story than I did my Instagram story.
I get a lot more views on Snapchat and Instagram, but just in these 2 days, because of the ease, because they give you the little buttons to click, right? Ah and haha.
It's more intuitive than Snapchat. Snapchat takes a little figuring out.
It makes it easier. I've gotten more engagement from Facebook stories since yesterday than I had in Snapchat because what do you have to do on Snapchat? It sounds like a pet peeve, or it sounds like something so trivial, but it makes a difference. You have to actually push the chat button right? If you're watching a snap and you say message, and then you have to type something, right? Or an emoji, and then send it. Okay, seems simple enough. But on Facebook, you don't even have to do that.
No.
You just push the little,
Pretty
it's already
seamless.
there for you.
It's pretty seamless. So what's your
Pretty-
thoughts? I mean, I've heard a lot of people, quote unquote, influencers, you know, I don't even like to use that word either, but I've heard a lot of people who are heavy in the space say, you know, God, there's too many. The common denominator, the common concern was, yes, this is cool, but it's just getting out of hand. There's too many places. So what are your thoughts on that? We have Instagram story. We've got Snapchat. We've got Facebook Messenger story. We've got Pinterest. What's your thoughts on all of these different Twitch? What's your thoughts on all these different channels? And should you be focused on one, or should you really just be on all of them? What's your thoughts on too much? Is too much too much? Is enough or no?
I think that the landscape is big enough for you to pick where you want to go and do what you want to do. And
now, when you say that, should we focus on one specific and go all in? Like
I think, I've done a lot of business and social media consulting over the years, and I learned from my own experience on because where I spend a lot of time is human performance, like mental performance, right? Like high performance, like how can, having the right systems in place for you to be the best version of you, right? And I'm saying that because, okay, let's say that you're running a business and you know how important it is to be putting out your social media posts. And let's say you're an independent person and you're just not feeling it, right? That's okay. Pick what you feel comfortable with and spend your time there. If Instagram is your shit, then be on Instagram.
Right.
I would add, if Facebook is your thing, but also now with live, like you've got to just pay. You've got some of the live streamers at the beginning of the year said something that I found very interesting, which is they were calling 2017 the year of live authenticity.
Video. Oh, authenticity. Okay.
Authenticity because of live video. Now, that word makes sense in my realm of coaching, but for them to be saying it, but why were they saying this? They were saying it because there are so many cameras going live now. The ones who are going to make it are the ones who are authentic, because now we have a lot more references to see who we want to pay attention to or not. Now you can tell who's curated and they've scripted everything and they have just taken you down this hypnosis into something. Mm-hmm. Or you can tell if somebody's being real and authentic with you.
Yeah.
Because now, like, everybody's going live, right? So I think that if
news feed is just, it's
whatever you're going to do, like, pick your spot and go there.
Right.
Be committed and consistent to it. I don't know, because like it's just crazy, because four months ago we couldn't even have the same conversation that
right.
In December we couldn't even have this conversation.
Right.
Right. Instagram Live had just started,
right.
Like Facebook Live hadn't been as seamless or available, right? Now it's available on every page, every platform,
desktop, right.
Yeah, it's like you can go live anywhere,
I
anyway.
kind of flip back and forth. Like, I used to think that, shit, man, I mean, just work your ass off. Get on every channel you can. But then the kind of concept of spreading yourself too thin does have some weight to it.
Well, there's only so much time, right?
Only so much time. So what I've done now is I've really just focused on where my audience is and where people want to see me. I don't want to shove my way into your face if I'm not getting the kind of response or if people aren't engaged, right? So what I've been doing.
So what has it been for you? Like, because I
wanted to ask you the same thing. So for me, it's really been Facebook, absolutely, and I mean they just have been dominating, and I've been really going all in on my YouTube channel. I've been really trying. And here's another thing too, because what you said, Sean, you said just do it, but also you need to dig it. You need to love it. You need to not love it, but. Yeah. And I want to use that word because love's such an abused word, but if you're not into it, then what are you doing, right? Like, I've actually discovered I've rediscovered, here's that reminder again, right, Sean? I've rediscovered my love of creating visual storytelling with Snapchat, with YouTube, and these other platforms. Now, I still use the four biggies. I still use Facebook, number one, Snapchat, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. I'm kind of automated my posts on Twitter, but I love Twitter because I think that's still like really, I think it's still, Twitter still has a chance and a hope. I don't believe all the hype that it's destroyed. It's nothing. And I definitely don't believe the hype that Snapchat has done. But I've been focusing more on my live show just because that's where my heart is. And I've been focusing more on my YouTube show because that's where my heart is. So my audience is there too. Obviously that matters. But if your heart's not, maybe that's a better way of putting it rather than saying love. If your heart's not into it, NEZNATION, what the hell are you doing? You need to know who you are. You need to discover what makes this thing tick and go all in on that, dude. That's my thoughts on it. And I agree with you. You don't have the time to go live on Insta, live on YouTube, live on Facebook, live on Twitch, live on Twitter. It's insane. I love Periscope, by the way.
And then trying to pull people to different places that you are doesn't always work because, now I got to download the app and he's going to be on. But as long as you're consistent, like I've learned.
What do you find, Sean? What is your favorite, or where are you on the most?
Well, I actually liked Twitch and I liked live.me.
Never even heard of it.
It's a very different audience, but what I liked about live.me and you now, was that they had built-in monetized, profit shares stuff. So it wasn't because people were just sending money. I'll just show you real quick here. I think that you'll be able to see it. It's very simple. Pay attention.
Pay attention, NEZNATION.
NEZNATION. So I picked some random person, right? She was number one in the suggested feed. So, she looks a little risque. Let me pick her.
Don't worry, we've been saying shit and fuck on this show. You can show risque.
She's like, okay, so
don't
here's
show
this.
Anything copyrighted. I don't want this stream to go like,
No. So here's this guy's live stream, right?
And this, it's hard to see. Yeah, it's very difficult to see. What platform is that again? That's
live.me. So I'd have to do a screen share. So there's a little gift box button on there. Okay, there's a little gift box. If I click on that gift box, I can send him a slice of pizza for 10 coins. Right now, the coins are virtual. It's a virtual gift. Okay. Now, all he sees is a pizza fly across his, or whatever. There's you can send whatever you want.
There's a different, digital gifts, basically.
Yeah, all these different things, right? Up to worth 19,999 coins in order to send this castle, right? Now, in order for me to send that, I've got to actually spend cash to purchase these coins, right? They get a profit share of the virtual gifts, of the percentage of the cost of that. So by the end of the week or the end of the month, however their payout goes, if they've been going live and they've been getting all these virtual gifts and all these things, they cash out 45% of that. Okay. So that's why I'm saying this is a very different behavior.
Right.
And I spent a lot of time on here over the last few months because this is where people were paying attention and engaging with me.
There's something like that in Asia that one of the live video groups, Facebook groups, there's an app in Asia where you send them you can send them a digital race car, or a digital turkey.
Yeah. It's all.
And they transfer that, or they basically transfer that into something like beans, which transfer into actual money.
It's all here. We've had these apps. I've had this for 6-8 months.
And you use LiveMe a lot. You've been using LiveMe a lot.
I had been using LiveMe. Now, granted, like I said earlier in the broadcast, I was using all these different pseudonyms, and now I'm putting everything back under Sean Notes. Right.
I'm noticing a little more consistency with your name.
Yeah. I started to put Sean Notes together. I was with the Perry dudes last night on Periscope. I thought that was great. I jumped on 15 minutes.
What that was. What are the Perry dudes? What's that?
They talk about how to be the masculine gentleman and chivalry, right? A message that other generations need to hear. Kind of like every Tuesday and Thursday night, they pick a topic. And
is it group chat?
It's just Periscope. It's just a pass the cast. So like one guy starts,
Oh,
and then when
I've
he's
never heard
done,
of it.
he has everybody go into my scope, and I give my perspective on it,
Oh, cool.
and then I tell everybody to go listen to the next guy, and everybody follows that. So I connected with them, and they're like, hey, can you come on and give your perspective on stuff? And I was like, cool, yeah. So what I liked about that though was that it was already a built-in audience. So for that being my second Periscope in 2017 on that new account, I think there were 450 views last night.
Nice.
Just for that.
Very nice.
I went from 800 hearts to I think 7,000 hearts in that one scope. So
wow.
I think that there's an audience there.
Yeah.
And it's just going to be up to me being consistent. And then I love the community. Like I love having met you. I love what you talk about. I think we're going to be friends for a long time.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
My brothers on Twitch, my gamers, right? Like
my brother is such a gamer. Like he's been a gamer for 20 years.
I feel more connected to those guys than like in the heart. You know what I mean? Like you should see. I saved a couple of clips
at that GameStop. I saw it in person, Sean. I saw the community. I saw the engagement. I saw like the just it was camaraderie. It was like these young kids.
It was real. It's the real stuff that all of us are looking for.
All of us and all these, and we act so fucking cool. We try to act so fucking cool that we don't need it when we're bleeding for it.
But we're onlookers, right? We're like, oh man, I just want to feel. Yeah. I sent an email to one of the streamers last night because I hadn't been around. I'm a mod in his channel, and I'm like. Hey.
That's awesome. So we have gone longer than any other show, and it's almost 2 hours, which is just absolutely insane. It feels like it's been only 20 minutes. But I want to just say we definitely need to wrap this up. I gotta go be a husband to my wife. But
you better.
I better.
Or I'll hold you accountable for that.
You need to hold me accountable for that, Sean. Absolutely. So before we go, though, why don't you tell Nez Nation how we can find you? And please leave in the comments, guys, if you have any other questions, Nez Nation, any other concerns or anything that you might have missed or you don't understand. I'm sure Sean will go back and answer those questions.
Yeah, for sure.
Or I'll remind him. I'll hold him accountable.
For sure.
But yeah.
And I'm in the Nez Nation group also, so anybody can connect with me.
Oh, right. Sean's in the group. Awesome. Sean's in the group. That's fantastic. Yeah. So, Sean, tell us where people can find you and tell us how they can find you, and then we'll wrap this up.
The simplest way would be just find me on Facebook under Sean Knows. That's SEANKNOW, like this guy knows. It's a beard and a top hat, and we'll talk about that later. Yeah, we'll talk about that later. He'll leave a
comment in the comments.
Yeah, I'll type that in there.
Yeah.
So Sean Knows on Facebook. It's Sean.knows on Instagram, at Sean_knows on Twitter, Periscope. You can always visit the Sean Knows WordPress, but I haven't blogged in a while. That's all changing now. And if you ever see the beard and the top hat, that's me. And I'm happy to answer any questions. I don't usually charge anybody for, little questions here and there. It's if we're going to spend time together and you're really committed, that's a whole different ballgame.
Right.
But I want to be here for anybody. I love the engagement in your group. I also did start a Patreon page because I think I'm going to start building content to do that. Yeah.
Okay, so you can leave that. You should leave that in the comments as well.
And that's the same. Sean Knows.
Sean Knows.
Being consistent. And here's a big thing that I want to close out on. I think that everybody has the opportunity to. Well, you're here, so learn a lot about yourself in this life. And now with the merging of technology, if you want to, you can actually make money out of being you. And you don't have to be an already curated, refined statue, of marble. A mentor once said to me, his name was Pete, by the way, he said, enroll people in your evolution. Let them come along with you on your journey.
Yeah.
And they might even pay you to learn from your mistakes first, right?
Because it's important to understand, NEZNATION, that you got to put food on the table, right? And I would love to make my side hustle my major hustle. As much as I love my students, as much as I love the people, as I was telling William last night, and William just left a comment. I'm definitely going to rewatch this and take notes. Thank you, William.
Oh, sweet, man.
That's awesome. Sweet. But as I was telling William last night, the bureaucratic nonsense that William had to go through when he was a cop for 18 years, that I go through on a daily basis at these universities, there is a reason why your professors come to class looking the way they do. It's not an accident, folks. The micromanagement, the constant, incessant, I don't want to say, it's paperwork, filing, it's emails that are nonsensical, and meetings that are just completely useless. It's enough to drive anybody crazy. I'm surprised more teachers don't go postal, as the verb sort of, indicates. And go follow me on YouTube as well. That's Sean Olivares at YouTube. I hit 1,000 subscribers, just a few weeks ago. I was excited about that. Sean,
like 1,000 people.
Sean, I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, dude, thank you so much for being on the show. And thank you for being on the show at such short notice. Sean is somebody that you can tell just by and I've been a communication writing professor for a very long time, and I've been in the communication game a very long time. He's so articulate. He communicates so well, and you can sense in the energy that vitalizes his words. You can sense the earnestness. You can sense the sincerity. He's not trying to con anybody. I want to say I appreciate that, my friend, and I appreciate what you're doing. And keep on keeping on, Sean, and keep knowing and sharing your knowing, Sean, because we need reminders.
Thanks for having me on. It worked out tonight.
Absolutely.
It just worked out,
I think that this show is just phenomenal, and this is what I'm saying, NEZNATION. This is all about you. This is all about you guys. This is all about serving the audience. I want to serve you. The guests that I have obviously share the same thesis. So leave comments. Let us know what you thought of the show. Let me know. I have production meetings that I actually go live with my production meetings. Let us know what you think. Let us know what we can do better. Let us know what you would want to see. Let us know what type of guests, everything and anything. I'm open to all sorts of feedback. So thank you again, Sean.
And thank you everybody for being patient. I can cover a lot. I mean, Sean knows a lot of stuff. So, like if you want me to focus on one thing, it's probably tied to like 4 other things that I've already researched in depth.
Isn't that how it goes, though, Sean? To me, it's like no conversation is just a straight beeline. It takes, it's like artery after artery after artery, branch after branch after branch. To me, the best conversations go in a myriad of directions. So, isn't that how it is? NEZNATION.
This is a great Friday night. So I hope everybody enjoyed it. I enjoyed getting to connect with you tonight. This is what it's all about, and this really is what it's all about.
Dude, I can definitely return the compliment. This made my Friday night. This has made awesome, my weekend, because I'm not going to be able to go live tomorrow, and this has just left such a beautiful, entrance into the weekend for me. It's just made my weekend that much better already. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. And by the way, Sean's going to be on again. This isn't just a one-time thing. So I'm going to have Sean on again, because just too much value. It's just too much value. So Sean's, if you're willing to, I'd love to have you on the show again sometime, anytime, man.
Yeah, we'll create a segment called The Unknown with Sean Knows.
Well, let's not jump too far ahead.